Hey, good evening, everybody. It's KB5MIQ Big Boy. Let me see if I can get this radio adjusted, camera adjusted a little better. Got a few things we're going to talk about tonight. I've got a few posts on social media I'm going to bring up. We're going to give you my opinion on them, but a couple things to mention up front here. I've been aiming to mention this guy for a couple of videos. I keep forgetting it. KI5MIT on YouTube. He's got a real good video on a homebrew fan dipole antenna y'all might want to check out. And Chris, one of our winners in the past, also buddy's having some health issues. KF4 Alpha Al. I've got his call sign wrote down wrong. I'm sorry, Chris. He sent me a link to some good antenna information, and if I ever learn how to put links on here, it'd be a lot easier than me telling y'all. But ulozto.net. Some information on there y'all might be interested in. And also, Chris has got a YouTube channel. He made a promotional video promoting my channel. Chris, I really appreciate that. It's his channel's Gulf Coast Wrestling. Y'all check it out. Uh, got a help question here. Need a little help with. WD5HKV is running a 718 that he bought new, and it's developed a issue that was intermittent. Now it's getting more intermittent. He'll be going along and they'll just cut out. Power drop off right in mid sentence. And he's changed microphones and took tuner out of line and done CPU resets, and it's really doing it a lot tonight. In fact, he went to his 891. So if any of you guys got any input on a 718 that's with intermittent signal power output failure, leave me some comments on it, and Jeff will see them. So I appreciate that. It'll help him out and see if we can get his radio back up and going. Okay, got a few posts I'm going to read about here. We'll just give you my take on. What's up with calling CQ? I've had my ticket just under 2 months and been a bit intimidated by HF phone. Jumping in tonight with both feet. Done a bit of calling but no response. Is there a preferred calling frequency like on 2 meters? Well, if you're tech and you're on 10, 28400's calling frequency. That's a good place to listen, see if you hear any signals. Just the main thing is just stay with it. Call CQ, and just because a lot of times, even if the band is open, if there's nobody on that frequency, not gonna have any luck with it. But like I said, anybody starting out in HF always pays to listen for a little while. And I don't mean listen for days on end, but just turn the radio on, listen for 15, 20, 30 minutes, and if you're not hearing nothing, tune around in your whatever allocation you've got by your band privileges, by your license, and just listen. 450 is another good station to make contacts on. Even during the day, y'all hear a lot of stations on 450 and on up 460, 470. So just tune around the dial there. And I hate to even mention this, but there's always the Beacon station on 28, 425. If all else fails, maybe you can get him to answer you. I don't know. I hate to recommend that to a new ham, but that's not a good example of ham radio. But remember, just call CQ and pause and listen and just hang in there. Okay. Let's see. WW5AH had an issue. I mean, we talked about this the other day, and he figured it out. This is a good example of checking feed line and getting a decent grade of feed line. I mean, everybody in the world will tell you what the best feed line to use. And like I said, I've used RG8X for years and still use it. But he had a piece of some real inexpensive, he called it truck stop feed line as one of his jumpers, and was causing him issues on the radio. So, good thing to check out when you're trying to troubleshoot an issue with an antenna is make sure your feed line's real good, make sure your connectors are good, and go on from there. I know my 17 meter dipole just went crazy here several months ago. And I looked up. I was actually in the pool with my wife behind the house floating. I can't look up anymore. It's easier to be lay flat on my back and look up. And I could tell the coax had come loose from the tie it held it on, and I could tell the way it was hanging there was something wrong with it. Sure enough, the connector got loose. Just a good thing to check. Check the simple stuff first if you're having trouble with an antenna. Okay. All right. Now this is going to be one of them questions that may not be a good answer to. Hello all, I'm completely new to radios, but considering getting into ham. Recently gotten into off-roading, and our group has been using some junk box store walkie-talkies. I want to upgrade our group comms. I was wondering what else you do with ham that may be less than obvious uses, NOAA, scanning city radios, etc., fun events or something. I'm just deciding I won't put the time and money investment into something that is only for me going to be a once or twice a month for the summer, fall walkie-talkie. Sell me on it, LOL. There's a local ham group that meets monthly I want to go check out and see what the locals are doing if it's an active group I like. Okay, you've asked kind of a loaded question there. I highly recommend anybody getting a ham license. Easy to get, and if you don't do nothing to get a tech, VHF, it's UHF, a good way to start. But if you got a group that you're wanting to get all on the same comms, everybody in that group is going to have to be a ham radio operator to operate legally on those frequencies. So before you look at trying to sell a group on something, and I've seen that try to happen before, that don't work very well. If you've got a group that you're off-roading together, you may want to consider GMRS or something to that effect, or CBs. But trying to get a group just so you can all get on ham radio might be an issue. I believe in the hobby. I really do. I'd recommend anybody getting into it. But we'll get into it for what you want to do with it and what you plan to do with it. But don't try to get a group like that that's going to be trying to be all on the radio, because everybody's going to have a license. That might be a bit hard to do. Okay, let's see. We got two more here we'll go by. I have a question, and please no snarky answers. Do you need a radio for the different bands? Again, that's kind of a loaded question. You've asked a question that you're going to get a lot of wild answers on. Yes, you do on certain areas. VHF, 2 meters, 220, separate radio, 440, separate radio, or a multi-band talkie. They make tri-band talkies. But essentially, you may have them all in one box, but essentially you've got 3 radios in one. HF. One HF radio will cover most of the HF bands. And then you got Shack in the box that covers HF, 6, VHF, and UHF. It's kind of a loaded question there, because you need to know what you want to get into the hobby to do and how far you want to get in it and what you expect to get out of it and your budget, because that's all going to be expensive stuff when it gets up there. Okay. Now here's something I want to bring up. I really wish that we could get everybody back on board doing this. Is it true that when sending out QSL cards, it's an unwritten rule to send a stamped self-addressed letter? I don't know what he means by letter. I'm assuming envelope. This is from U.S. to U.S. stations. I have figured out that if I have QSL cards as well, it will be an unwritten rule to send a card out. All right. And this guy's getting all kinds of crazy answers, things like that. I'm going to give you my take on that. I've been in this hobby since 91. I am a card chaser, I am a country chaser, and a state. I need 3 states to work all states. If I work a state that I hadn't got, I will send that person a card, and I will send him a self-addressed stamped return envelope in the card with it. This courtesy I do, it encourages him to go ahead and take the time to fill the card out and send it to you. Nobody knows what everybody's budget is in this, and I'm on a budget. I always have been. But QSL cards, I like to get them. I like to send them. If I work a new ham, I'm going to send him a card with no return envelope, but I don't expect him to send me a card back. I'm just sending him a card, welcome to the hobby. I'm starting to work a few of my listeners, and I try to send them a card. And if they want to send one back, great. I usually I don't expect one back, but I do want to send them a card because they listen to the channel, and I appreciate that. Foreign stations. A lot of times, it's one of the great things about QRZ, you can look them up, and they may say, send $2 US postage, send $3 US postage. Postage in foreign countries is high. And a lot of these guys are on a more limited budget than we may be up here. So I've never minded sending a couple of bucks, $2 or $3 to a foreign DX station, especially if it helps me get their card back. I don't mind doing that at all. Anytime I come in anywhere and I got dollar bills in my wallet, I usually take 2 or 3 to stick in my computer desk drawer over here with my international stamp, so I'm always ready to send one out. Now, a lot of guys think with Logbook of the World and EQSLs, we don't have to do that. It's maybe old-fashioned to send a card, but I've said this before. To me, it's a good personal confirmation of a contact. If you're trying to get somebody in a hobby and you bring them in your shack and you got this wall full of cards from all over the world there, to me that makes a bigger impression than having a wall full of ARRL certificates. I'm not knocking certificate chasers either. I just don't do that. But to me, a wall full of ARRL certificates is like a wall full of bowling trophies. Okay, that's cool, let's go on. But when they start seeing cards from different countries with pictures from the country and things like that on there, I think that's the way to go. I really do. And I've often said I wish people would get back to sending cards like we did when I first got this hobby. I've still got a couple of cards I really want out that I hadn't got back yet. Hopefully they'll come in. And I know overseas mailing with COVID has caused all kinds of problems with overseas mails, and I realize that. But yes, if I send you a card and I want a card return, I will include a self-addressed stamped envelope for US. And any DX station, I will put some money in. The only ones that I will not do is I've run into a couple of these QSL card managers for these foreign countries that want you to PayPal them a donation for a card. I ain't doing that. I don't like PayPal anyway. I ain't doing that. If I can take a couple, $3, I'll send them, I'll get the card. If not, I won't get the card. That's the way it is. And, funny story on that, and I think I told this in one of my earlier videos. When I first got in this hobby, one of the guys that eldered me in here told me, he said, a lot of these stations overseas are on a real tight budget. In fact, they may be on club stations. A lot of these guys don't have their own gear. He said, if you want to be sure you get a card back overseas, always put $1 in there with it. This is in 91. Okay. Well, I worked at an Argentine station one night. Worked 2 of them at the same time. Gonna send them a card. The guy said, okay, just send me both the cards. If we're close together, you have to use 2 postage. Okay, so I did. I sent them 2 cards and put $1 in there with them. It was my first wife. Got the mail about 2 weeks later. She come back with this big, long manila envelope. And there was 2 QSL cards in it. There was bumper stickers, advertisements for the World's Fair, Argentine money, and all this in this envelope. It was really I didn't know why they did it. Well, I went out, showed all of it to that boy that told me that. He goes, oh, man, I should have made that a little more clear. He said, I meant European stations. He said, South American stations got more money than we got. You don't have to do that. But postage is higher now. If you want the card, that's my take on it. And send cards. Get some printed up or make a card. I got a card on the wall confirming a state that a guy made me, and it'll be there from now on. That's just a good personal way to prove a contact. All right, guys, I appreciate everybody who subscribed. We're at 687. Y'all get me just a little closer to 700, and we're going to do another giveaway. I appreciate it. I appreciate Chris for promoting me on his channel, so y'all be able to check him out. Be sure to check KI5MIT out with his stuff. Remember, main trading company in Paris, Texas. for your ham radio gear. They got some good stuff, big sales going right now. Club pages, 4 States Amateur, Dallas Amateur, Cowtown Amateur, Shreveport Amateur Radio, Farmersville, all good information pages. Facebook pages, Ham Radio Flea Market Trading Post, Ham Radio, Amateur Radio Elmers, Texas Amateur Ham Radio, Texas Radio Operators, all good avenues. We still do our 10-meter round table. We was on tonight. Band was dead. I kind of got off early because I got to get up early in the morning. Still on 28, 450, 460, or 470. Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Friday nights at 7:30 Central Standard Time. My email's on my QRZ page. KB5MIQ is my call. Just if you got any questions, email me or comment on the video. Again, thanks for all. Subscribe to the channel. KB5MIQ, Big Boy 73.